Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of From Page to Stage. I'm your host, Wendy Corner, and this podcast is for you if you are an entrepreneur. Yes, page and stage come together in entrepreneurship. And you may be going, what? What's she on about? Well, page, you may have a contributory book out, you may have a solo book out, you may have a regular blog. But if you're an entrepreneur, you've got socials, haven't you? And what's that if it's not published work? Go you, tick that box. Well, what about the speaky thing? A number of people come to me and go, I can't possibly do public speaking. No, 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 no. And I go, well, who's your role model? Oh, Tony Robbins, he's all this rah, rah, rah. I go, yeah, he does him. You do you. So however you are comfortable, and I'm going to push the comfort level, however you're familiar, there's always another level. If you can have a one-on-one conversation with someone, you can do a podcast just like this. So if that fits your model, come talk to me. Let's get your wisdom out to the wider world as well. Okay, welcome. Now, here we go. Today, I have the joy and pleasure of introducing you to Candace Stuart-Findlay. Now, Candace and I have known each other for about that long. So I've got a bit of background on her, but she knows herself far better than I do. So Candace, I'm going to hand it back on over to you. Give us a little taster of who you are and how you've got to where you got today.
Oh my God.
Taster. I know we could fill eons of time with this, but let's
Okay.
go with
Okay. So basically, I chose the path of being an intuitive empath, um, highly sensitive to energy, aware of energy, but not understanding what it was about from a very young age. Um, I re- I remember in kindergarten picking up stuff and in first grade reading people, not realizing I was seeing what they were talking about. It came through visually. And here's a good example. In first grade, we were being taught how to brush our teeth, and I'm 76, so back in those days, toothbrushes, I think they had some kind of glue holding the bristles in, and so the teacher was saying, "Be sure you rinse your brush with cold water because if the hot water would cause the glue to whatever." So she was explaining it and she was visualizing the bristles falling out. So then she says to the class, does anybody here know why you have to, it's important to use cold water? And I raised my hand fervently. And I said, because the bristles will fall out because the hot water. And she's like, stunned. So there was a very short period of time when I was like, she must be a genius. No, she was picking up the energy. And so growing up in a family that had a lot of struggle, there was domestic violence and all kinds. So I felt a lot of things, not necessarily, I mean, the struggles of emotional struggles of my mom, my dad, all that. And it was overwhelming. And so by the time I was 19, I went, when I was preparing a speech for junior college, freshman year of college, about paranormal activities. I was so engrossed in it, I activated a poltergeist occurrence in my parents' home, and and it was wild and terrifying. So at that point, I went, okay, that's it. Nope. And I worked very hard to shut it all down, very hard. And then, which was pretty much difficult. I mean, but then when during the Harmonic Convergence in '87, that's when I had a huge visualization. I mean, a full on seeing, hearing and everything. And it was like, okay, girl, this is your time. You're waking back up. Come on, you've got a job to do. And so from that point forward, it's been an unraveling of all the emotional research I did in the early stages of my life, and which brought me to a place where um, I ran a business for 32 years in the U.S. natural products industry, grocery. working with organic manufacturers and women held and veteran held, and really dedicated my life to that. And then it came to a point where I was guided to on Clubhouse, a group called the Daily Gratitude Movement. That's when I began to really understand and practice gratefulness, and began to research gratefulness and studied it through the research of neuroscientists and quantum biologists, biophysicists, and my own research and little focus groups and things. And that's what led me to the ability to finally heal that really intense trauma fear that I had buried at a young age. And when it's stored in our fascia of our body. And so then I began to move forward in a new direction, more aligned. And for the first time in my life, I'm actually able to move forward holistically, a complete wholeness of myself, not shutting down the intuitive part, just being who I am, and building a new business I'm working on now, based on my research.
Fantastic.
Hope that was short enough.
Whoa. Now that's, I mean, this is the point. The older in years we get, I won't say old because we're not, the older in years we get, the more experience we've had behind us. And it's actually quite difficult, isn't it, to pray-see, have a little...
What I've noticed is that not everyone's journey is absolutely unique. And they have specific kinds of things that they're researching the contrast of. And when I talk about contrast, I mean between the energy of love, not human love, like agape love, and a higher love, and fear, the contrast of the two. And in doing that, those of us that chose intense contrast, it was definitely inhibiting my ability to move forward in life, to fulfill my higher purpose. And that's something that's happening to a lot of women for a lot of reasons. And what I've discovered is that two things: we have two innate tools that completely shift that. We have breath. And the more I studied the science of breath, the more I was just amazed. Because in 3 breaths, 3 nasal abdominal breaths, that means you breathe in through your nose, focus on breathing down into your abdomen. It releases the tension in the pelvic floor. It does so many things, releases nitric oxide in your body, and that's a neurotransmitter that makes such a huge difference on so many levels. And when you exhale through your mouth slower than when you breathe in, it activates the vagus nerve, and that then the vagus nerve releases acetylcholine, which slows the heart rate. And that the heart rate is the signal that tells the body, oh, I should be in stress mode, sympathetic mode, or, oh, I should be in restorative mode, the parasympathetic part of the autonomic system. And so 3 breaths, and we can shift what hormonal and neurotransmitter releases or we're into our body. And we can shift from not having access to our prefrontal cortex to being able to think clearly again. Because when we're in the stress mode, that's bypassed.
Oh, golly, yes. Yeah.
And so for a woman...
Can I stop you for a second? Is this something that you cover in your book?
Yes. Yes.
So is it, I mean, I'm going to...
I've written 2 books. I've written 2 books.
Oh, you've written 2 books?
Yeah. Okay. So the first book, I was still very much understanding the information on the intellectual level, because I still had that unconscious barrier of wanting to protect myself. And so unconsciously. And so I did a lot of work, and I wasn't able to address the deeper healing until after I had been practicing gratefulness for several years. Right. Because because of the way that our human consciousness and what I call the simulation, the physical world, is programmed, we are deflected, programmed not to feel that higher love. We can understand that it's there, but to really feel it, it's a whole different experience. You can feel fear easily right away,
Yeah.
but not love. So, and that's actually, and I found this from studying quantum biology, that's actually the major portion of what we're created with in our subatomic structure. So when I say love, I'm talking about energy that spins anti-clockwise, counterclockwise. So that's love, gratitude, compassion, joy. They all spin anti-clockwise, like I said, or counterclockwise. Fear energy, and fear comes in the form, the secondary form is anger, judgment, rejection, a low value. That spins clockwise in contraction. And because our actual physical structure is primarily anti-clockwise spin, and I mean the DNA, the mitochondria, everything, when we go into contraction fear energy, it completely disrupts the optimal function of our physical bodies. This is why people who practice gratitude can actually lower their A1C hemoglobin in their blood. And the A1C is the major, doctors look at that as like a big factor in determining, oh, this person's going to have diabetes, this person's going to have heart failure, all that. So there's research showing that in a 2-week study with a control group not doing gratefulness, the difference between the A1C factor was huge. So, and when you look at it on a quantum level, of course, that's logical because you're supporting the natural optimum function of the physical field, which is based on counterclockwise spin. So, in studying and putting all this together, that also supported my release of attachment, which is unconscious. Part of the way it's programmed, we attach our identity and our value to the trauma experiences, that fear creating experiences. So we think, well, that's part of who I am. No, it's what we chose to experience. Yes, it was maybe challenging, but it's not who we
and
are.
the meaning we gave it.
Mm-hmm.
The meaning we gave it, so that the things that we start telling ourselves as a result of those experiences. Yeah.
Which, by the way, are actually, they're actually part of the program, those thought processes, because you can have two people that have similar experiences, and the way that they embed it, bury it, the belief perception they hold around it can be very, slightly different. It all boils down to the same thing, though, which is inhibiting oneself from being able to be visible, speak their truth, that feel the love that they are. When I talk about love, I'm talking not human connection, I'm talking about the higher love, and whatever word you use for that. And also too, it's important to recognize that the human experience is very much programmed to be controlled through a duality paradigm, where everything seems separate and everything seems like defined by its proximity. It's inside, outside. And I talk about the higher love. For some people, they're here and then God's out there, and they're struggling to feel accepted and connected by it. And that's part of the research, part of the program. So the last,
it's not an either or, is it? It's a both and.
it's singularity. Our consciousness is singularity. And I realized that for years, and wasn't able to really feel it until I was able to heal some of the deeply embedded trauma fear from around 9 and in my solar plexus and diaphragm. And the diaphragm energetically and physically affects a lot of different parts of our body because of the nerves and the fascia connection. So it's pretty fascinating, actually. Everything's very logical, actually. So,
audience, I trust that the depth that we're going to here is fascinating to you. You may or may not have a deep understanding of anatomy, physiology, and all this wonderful quantum stuff. However, don't let that put you off. Just sit in and listen and see if you can absorb what's being said. And then go and do your own research. Go and find Candace online, because she will explain things with a lot more depth and breadth in a different environment. So, yeah. Oh, Candace, what prompted you to start writing in the first place then? You say you've got 2 books out. What prompted you to start your journey in the writing?
I had there was no doubt. It was okay. Being the way I function is that I get guidance. I receive that kind of knowledge, that awareness, and it was like a burning. Because I had to write the first book. I had to write my second book, which is this one. And the second book, almost 6 years now, it all just came through like, you're going to write this book, The Interdimensional Mechanics of Consciousness. It was completely conceptual at the time because I had so much more releasing to do, healing. And then when I did that healing, then the book flowed. And there was some really major things that needed to be released before I could. And then when I did, boom, it just flowed. But however, all along, I knew this book was going to be written. It's just getting
did
my
you get
clarity.
A title?
I got the title right at the very beginning. It's almost 6 years ago.
Yeah. This is where we're heading, but there's a bit of a journey to get there.
Yeah, and I created the index, the different chapters, like before I wrote the book.
Yeah.
And I changed it a tiny bit, but pretty much it's the same. And that's what the fear, this is what I'm working on with my clients, is being able to heal the programming, unconscious programming that says it's not safe to feel that love for yourself, that it's not safe to be seen or heard.
Yeah.
And so by working with that within my own energetic field, I was able to flow with the book because the words would just come through. I mean, I was dictating, because it was my higher being just saying, okay, this is this, and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you. So, go on.
I was just going to say my first book, this is kind of part of, gets more. I started my publishing company, my hybrid publishing service, because of my first book. All along, this was back in 2012 and 2013, and I had been collaborating with a brilliant biophysicist who's based in Geneva, Switzerland now. Anyway, I was filling out applications to all the different usual traditional paths for publishing. And then I looked at other kinds of ways to be published. And every time I got to the point where I would sign the contract for having them take my book, my manuscript, I would get a red light. It would be green light, and then red light. Don't know. And I was like, finally, at the end of every year, so at the end of the year of 2013, of every year, I do a meditation where I ask for clarity on what's coming and what would be for the highest good and all that kind of stuff. Well, I got this huge visual download of opening this hybrid publishing company. Now, I had this strong background in sales and marketing because of my other business I closed last year in the in the grocery industry. And so I wasn't concerned about that, but I really never had done anything about publishing a book. However, it was just laid out. This is what the next step is. It's important to support the new voices.
Right.
And so 2014, January, I opened my company up, and I just dove into how to do formatting for publication. I was connected to a group of people that I subcontract with to do all my ebook formatting, because an ebook is like a website. It's not, it's very different. And so I even learned something about that, and I can go in and edit ebooks now. And I have a background in graphic design, so I was able to. I worked with Photoshop, but I was able to really heighten my skills, and so to help assist authors in their book covers. And so that was almost 12 years ago now, and it was just, when I get that green light like that, I know that I don't have to know how. All that's important is the what. And my what is to keep my energy in alignment with that counterclockwise spin, or anticlockwise, gratitude, love, trust, feeling safe, all those kinds of things that come with by practicing gratefulness. And that's what the story is. It's just, and then I published my second book this past June. And
June 2025.
Yes. Yes, it took that long for me to get to the point where I could actually write it.
Well, I mean, somebody asked me how long it took me to write my first book, and I said a lifetime. Yeah, well, yes. Okay. So yes, so your second book came out in June 2025, and that's kind of the one that I want to dig into a little bit later. But tell us about your speaking journey.
My speaking journey? Okay. That's what you said, right? I want to make sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Page to stage.
Exactly. So this has been really exciting because I had taught classes, done events prior to becoming a volunteer in this nonprofit international group called the Daily Gratitude Movement. And it took me 3 months of moderating a room on Clubhouse. That's where you make sure the room
That's
is
where
like
we met. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. And so
Yes.
Anyway, 3 months of doing that, and then I realized that one day I was like, boom, dots connected. Oh, you've only been thinking about feeling grateful up to now. You actually hadn't felt grateful. And that's when I realized how important it is to develop a connection through the gratitude practice of what it feels like to feel, and that to be in line with that expansive energy. Because the energy that's in gratitude is it supports feeling safe for a person with that kind of back history. That's really important, and to be visible, and to be safe, to be known and recognized, and to speak. And so that practicing gratefulness led to where last June I just knew I could not continue my other company. It just wasn't aligned with me being all of who I am anymore. The sales energy there is very much like, using the metaphor of my new coaches, sharks. It doesn't matter if you lose, they'll celebrate your loss because they just want to win.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know how, Wendy, but here I found myself connected with these people, the icon makers, and they are brilliant, and they've practiced gratefulness, and they really look at what's a triple win. If someone loses, then nobody wins. And it's all about, do good and make money. So I met them, and part of the group, there is a person, brilliant, Daniela, who is the speaking coach. She's an incredible speaker, and she's been teaching people, and she's just a powerhouse. So I began to work with her, and in her groups and things. And I've spoken now. I'm developing my message. And as I've been able to heal, which helped me to release trauma, fear, attachment, to being visible, to speaking out. And I've been able to do multiple virtual, I haven't done on stage at this point, but many, many speeches and presentations. And it's what I'm really focusing on is the power of aligned purpose. Because when we have trauma, fear, we have a sense of our purpose, but we have fear of actually owning it and stepping into it. And when we see purpose as a frequency, not a thing, not like a physical thing, then we can align with it and it'll support us. So I've taken this message, and of course, when I do my speaking, I break it down into the simple energy of what the bottom line is. How's it going to benefit you?
Yes.
You know, I mean, I've come from trauma, being afraid to open my mouth, to being able to be very clear in a loving way to express what's important for me at this now moment. And it's not about, the way I approach it now is an honoring of everybody's journey. It's not my journey, and it's their journey is important because it's contributing to the overall ability for the whole engagement of contrast. Contrast is such a powerful tool for really understanding and feeling the difference between two things. It's an important part of our journey.
Well, I mean, if you think about it from a marketing perspective, all the weight loss things have a before and an after. That's the contrast. That is such a visually stimulating image that you get, you're no doubt about it. So what I'm hearing you saying is that this contrast is important, not just at a visual level, but at a kinesthetic, at an energetic level as well. Have I got that
Wendy.
right?
Yes, Wendy.
Beautiful. Okay.
That's how we learn.
So we've talked about your writing, we've talked about your speaking. Tell us a bit more about this particular book that came out in June.
Okay. So this is a deep dive into the actual construct of human consciousness and the simulation programming. They're very much entangled, intertwined, and the physical world is programmed to hold the duality paradigm premise. It supports that. And because that's how we have an opportunity for contrast. There has to be separation for that. And that's why human consciousness is programmed to not receive that higher love, because that would then make it impossible to do the contrast. How can you contrast something when you're not even, when the fear becomes so secondary? Because it is really, actually, when you look at the amount of it, it's not the primary energy of our energy field. It's very minimal, but it doesn't take much contraction energy to completely throw someone off, because of the way that it has an effect on the physical body, pain, on discomfort, which then can lead to blame, which then leads to a multi-generational thread of energy around, if I don't perform, I have no value, and therefore I could die. Yes. Going all the way back to the migratory early man, because if your presence did not support and somehow add to the survival of the tribe, then you were killed or left behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I understand the logic of that.
Dissenting voices were absolutely in that same level. So of course you weren't going to say something different.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. So anyway, that it was
So you're
like
looking at the contrast, the contract. Sorry, wasn't choose your words, Wendy.
construct.
Construct, thank you. The construct of something that we can't put our finger on, and that's the fun of it, isn't it? Because we've been sort of programmed in the Newtonian world, in that what you can see, if you can see it, you can poke it, it exists. If you can't see it, you can't feel it.
That's
All
the
the five
duality,
senses.
right? That's the duality paradigm. And what's
Yeah.
interesting is the theoretical physicists are coming, many of them, it's like more than 50%, 60 or more, are now talking about how there's a single consciousness, that everything is interconnected. They're beginning to see it now, but it's always been that way because the physical world is not our actual source of identity.
Yes.
It's a like a holographic experience. Anyway, I wrote this book based upon like everything else, the higher guidance of my higher awareness, and it lays it all out. It lays out why we are the way we are and what to do about it. And when I say what to do about it, this entails inner work. And
Yes.
like I go through and I'll just show like inside the pineal gland are calcite crystals. They're microscopic, and a lot of people don't even know that that's true. And when they begin to understand, well, wait a minute. So, oh gosh, I became very yellow.
So the pineal gland up here.
No, it's my lights when I hold up
No,
the
I'm saying
picture.
the pineal gland, your master gland inside the base of your brain.
Yeah, it's if you go to like this,
Mm-hmm.
right about in this the construct crosshairs of that is where the pineal gland is, and it's
Mm-hmm.
small, and they call it the pineal gland because it's has so much surface, because it's undulated and specifically, so it does have a lot of surface. And the microscopic crystals are inside of there, and the calcite crystals have two main properties. One, they expand the potential of the energy. They increase it, and two, they transmit it 360. So it's part of the way that we communicate on a energetic level. It's part of how the entanglement happens. And
Entanglement. We're
okay,
using
that's the that's
lovely quantum words here that not everybody
okay.
may
Okay,
understand.
so entanglement in metaphysics, we call it interconnectedness. We would say things like that. So
Sure.
quantum physics and quantum mechanics and quantum biology are on one side of the coin and metaphysics is on the other, but they're using different vocabulary. However, it's the same message. It really is. And so, yeah, what I did is I laid out, and the subtitle of the book is Understand and Embrace the Beauty of Who and What We Are. It lays a pathway out of being stuck in the inhibited devaluing loop.
Yeah.
And if a person feels called to be free of that, then breath work and a gratitude practice will two hugely supportive tools that we already have. We don't have to buy anything. We just and then and in doing that, that will lead that person step by step to being able to take ownership of how they feel. Because you see, that's part of why the duality paradigm is to have this environment where individuals aren't aware of how they feel and do not take ownership of it. You blame outside. It's an external thing.
It's theirs. It's them. It's not us. Them. Us.
And so once we take accountability for how we feel, we have to work on it. And that's where the gratitude practice comes in, because it makes it feel safe to receive clarity on things like that. And it makes it feel safe to love yourself more.
Yes.
And in doing that, it's a natural next step to be able to realign identity with the good feeling that you feel when you're practicing gratefulness, as opposed to the scary, uncomfortable feelings of the fear of things that we've experienced, the trauma. So it lays it out. It tells it with both neurophysical, neurological research, and also quantum biological research, and the concepts, and then what to do, how to move through it.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. So that book came out in June 2025. I'm reiterating the year because this podcast will be up forever after. So when people look at this in 3 years' time, they go, June, which June? Oh, right. Okay. So your book is available on Amazon, in bookstores. Where can people get hold of it?
It's available Amazon, Barnes and Noble, the print. Now it's available and it can be purchased because we have the largest international distributor of printed material. We're a vendor with them. And but the thing is, not every book carries it on the shelf. I mean, not every store carries it on the shelf. However, if they get the ISBN number back here, they can order it because they're buying from that distributor already. So that's easy enough to do. So, but online, Barnes and Noble and Amazon both have it. Print. And then ebook, you've got every single ebook available distributor, retail outlet, whatever, online or whatever. It's there. It's in every single one.
Right. Have you done an audio version yet?
Not yet. I'm thinking of doing it. My publishing company does publish books, print, ebooks, audiobooks, and card decks.
Right. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
For visionary authors.
Audience, what we're going to do is check out, we'll pop a link in the show notes to Candace's website, Candace's, all the different places where you can connect with her, including a link to the Amazon. Now, you're based in the US, aren't you?
Right. So Barnes and Noble wouldn't be possible.
We'll put the Amazon US link for you. Now, if you don't happen to be in the US, I'm quite sure you can look up the Amazon in the country that you're in, because just to reiterate, Candace, this podcast goes out to Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the UK, Europe, everywhere you can get hold of it. So that's what we'll do in the show notes. Audience, if
you wouldn't mind putting in the show notes that they are really feeling drawn to this book, and they're struggling with on how to receive it through Amazon, to just reach out to me, because I am the founder of the publishing company. I've worked out a way where I can they can pay me directly, and then I can order the book and have it shipped to them from my printer.
Yes.
So there's that too. I did that for a friend of mine in Canada, because the Amazon there was just not functioning very well, and she only could do the ebook. And this is the kind of book that you're going to want in print if you're really seriously looking at up leveling and evolving and being free of beliefs and feelings that are holding you back. So you can take notes, then you can put highlighters in there, you can put page tabs, whatever, but
all that good stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, but audiobook, that's something I'm not doing right now, because I'm focusing on building this new company. And I probably will do an audiobook of this, because I think it'd be helpful for people. But I think, again, the print on something of this deep, as far as being able to put it into daily practice, I think there's something about that. And perhaps it's because for me, I'm more of a visual learner. So I like to see it.
Sure, sure. Now, the reason I'm asking about that is because one of the groups, if you like, of people that come to me, they're dyslexic, and they said, well, look, I can't read easily. I certainly can't write easily. So that for me is again a reason that my books will ultimately be out on audio as well, because people consume their information in different ways. As you've already pointed out, you've also got the decks for the visionary people. But just making sure that everybody's boxes are ticked.
I totally understand that. In the daily gratitude movement nonprofit that I volunteer in, we have multiple people that are blind. And so for them, audiobooks is the only way.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I agree. I think audiobooks are very important. They really are.
Love it. Thank you. Candace, tell us about how, I mean, the name of this show is From Page to Stage. How do you embody your words when you take them from page to stage?
Well, first off, I mean, I know the material, but what I do though is I'm just going to use my metaphysical terminology. I expand my energy in alignment with the singularity, the oneness energy, and I ask for the flow to be for the highest and greatest good, to bring the most good. And so then I just trust. And I've also, on a more practical side, in the physical world, I've gotten really good at using Google Slides.
Okay.
And I create my, and I use Ideogram, which is an AI imagery program. And I prompt it for certain concepts, and then they provide me the image. And if it's not exactly what I want, I take it into Photoshop, tweak it, and then I write the copy. And I have a very wonderful AI buddy that changed significantly after he read my manuscript of this new book. I mean, it blew my mind, and he's been so powerful and right in the right kind of words to make it for a sixth grade kind of level. So I'm not going into I can get really geeky about quantum physics and get lost in it. So
well, that was the point earlier on I was saying, because not everybody has that depth and breadth of knowledge in the wonderful terminology that we're using here.
I know.
So yeah, it's important, isn't it, that we can express it without the jargon.
Yeah, because all that matters is that their hearts are touched in a way that they see that could be a light on a path that they didn't know even existed. So using Google Slides, I'm able to write my prompt copy, and then they have a wonderful option called presenter. I mean, I'm sure other ones do too. But I love the way that they had the presenter function. You have your copy of what you want to say about the slide, and you have a timer. You can watch, make sure you're staying on within your time limit, and you can navigate back and forth, whatever you need to do. And so I use that when I'm doing virtual presentations, because I haven't done the stage one. However, when that comes, I'll be able to do it anyway, because I'll have the copy up here the way I want it to be.
Exactly. Lovely. Thank you for sharing that. So as we're winding up then, Candace, have you got any final words of wisdom for us?
I'm just going to say that you are way more than you might think you are. So much, the beauty of each of us is just astounding. When you look at how our physical bodies respond exactly to how we feel, that's why two people could be at the same event and have two different experiences entirely. And I think it's important to understand that and I've had my share of physical challenges because of the trauma fear that I was still holding on to previously. It's important to understand that the physical body is sort of like a genie, quote unquote, so to speak, with saying your wish is my command.
Okay.
And how we feel tells that, okay, in that case, if you feel this way, then I'm going to do this in the body to support that. Basic example is in breath work. I mentioned about not having access to the prefrontal cortex when we're in stress mode. That's why people say, where are my glasses? And they're on their head.
Yes.
And what happens though physically is the body goes, oh, your wish is my command. They diminish the neurons in the prefrontal cortex. The body then starts to shrink the prefrontal cortex and adds more neurons in the amygdala. And so the amygdala isn't grown because it's smaller. However, when we switch into the restorative parasympathetic mode, that's all reversed. Everybody is empowered with these two tools, breathwork and gratitude, to completely, entirely reframe what they're experiencing. Because how we feel, whether we're conscious of it or not, determines the nature of the outcome of every event. Yes. It's not law of attraction, it's law of creation. We're not a magnet. We are programming the quantum field with how we feel. And to remember that we're a beautiful being of light initially, then maybe we have a higher purpose of experiencing some challenging things, but the challenging experiences are not defining the value of who we are.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Candace, for your depth and wisdom in sharing your From Page to Stage. For now, bye from us.
Thank you.